So, whether it's skiing the Alps or riding an elephant in an African safari, there is always more to the story and always more to how you got there. There are so many things when it comes to traveling, whether it's money and budgeting, where and when to go, whether we should travel alone or with a companion, or what should we do till we get to our destination. There's so much to the story. This is what I'm here to talk about and what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm Taylor Pollard, and my topic is anything and everything about traveling. In my speech today, I will be talking about anything and everything that comes along with traveling. Some of the main points that I will be highlighting today is budgeting our trip from start to finish, where we should travel and some of the things that we should experience while we're on our destination, and some other key factors that play a role in these main topics. Now that I have introduced myself and introduced about what my speech is going to be about, let's get into the fun tips and tricks about traveling. The first how-to of traveling is how to plan your trip. The most important part of traveling is your destination and the experience that you get from it. Both of these things, in my opinion, are the best part of traveling and what matters the most. But there's a lot to unpack here before we actually get to the traveling part. Without a set destination or any plan to follow, you have no trip. This is the first and most important step of traveling. If you plan a trip on a whim, it'll be short, unplanned, very unorganized, and probably really overwhelming, and not to mention stressful. And it will not give you the best time or experience. If you have no idea where you want to go and you have no idea what you want to do, you don't plan anything on your trip, you're going to be confused, you're going to be lost, and you're going to have no idea. The first thing you can do is research. Doing research is very and extremely important. Besides researching cool places to go to make your research other important things, such as weather, tourist season, things to do, accessibility and reliable source of transportation, a reliable, safe place to stay, and some safe and yummy places to eat at. A quote from an experienced travel blogger said this: "We visited Croatia in July. It's the busiest month of the year, and we found ourselves super frustrated with the crowds and jacked up prices that were being offered. We ended up shortening our time there because we were not enjoying it as much as we expected." So, this quote just proves that if you don't do your research beforehand and head out on your adventure, you might find yourself stuck and frustrated in the midst of tourist season on a trip you're not enjoying. Another important part of research is making sure you are being realistic. If you're wanting to travel to a different country, but you don't have your passport, you won't be able to accomplish that, or your trip. And you might have to push it back to a later date far in advance that you might not even be able to make. Receiving a passport takes time, so you have to make sure you plan around that. And with this, it might be causing a whole handful of issues, like canceling your flights, canceling your trip as a whole, and not being able to really experience what you wanted to. Another thing you have to be experienced about is location. If you're wanting to have a nice, relaxed beach vacation with the beautiful sights, but really want to go to Japan, you might need to reconsider what you think, what you want, and narrow it down to what's more important for you. Researching your options to a great extent so that you can accommodate all your wants and needs on your trip. This research will save you money, give you a good trip, and take you on a great experience. Another reason why planning a trip beforehand in much detail is important is so that you know what you want during and after your trip. Imagine booking a whole trip and being so excited from the moment you land your plane at the destination, you're told you have to go home because you don't have the visa to stay there for 2 weeks. And you're short on the vaccinations that that country required, but you had no idea because you didn't research. It's important to know what you need and what you might need when you get there. Researching your destination won't only make sure you can actually stay, it'll show you things that you need to bring, things you need to buy, places you should and shouldn't go, and will help you decide if your dream vacation is actually your dream vacation. Research is so important to know what the different things you might need to purchase for a successful trip. Did you know chargers and wall adapters are important when you're traveling out of country or to France? Certain utensils, such as backpacks, hiking boots, and other weather climate apparel. License, money, different forms. Some countries don't take American money. These are all things you wouldn't know unless you did your research. Research also helps you figure out the best places to stay, eat, do, and visit. Spending your time researching will make the flow of your trip so easy and will end up making it more enjoyable until the end. Now that we have talked about planning our trip completely, let's talk about how to budget and financially support our trip, destination, wants, and needs. The second how-to of traveling is the importance of budgeting. There's so many factors when it comes to the cost of a trip, and it's important to know how to handle them all. With budgeting comes a lot of thought. It's not just saving money, then spending it once there is enough. It is so much more than that. And when dealing with traveling and planning a trip, it's even more important. When budgeting for a trip, this is normally the second step. After you know everything about the location and everything you need, you can start budgeting. First, out of all the locations you chose, you can narrow it down to the one that best fits the budget you have. Then you can start budgeting flights and transportation, foods, some souvenirs you might want to buy, places to stay, and any activities that cost money to do. There are all things that you should budget for and then save your money. With the help of planning a whole trip, budgeting is easier. If you have the whole trip laid out, including everything you want to do while you're there, then you have everything to know you need in general. You can find the minimum cost that you must have before you start your travel, and you can gain the amount or realize how much more money you have extra to fit some things in you wouldn't have before. If you were to skip the research part, not only would your trip not be thought out, you might also lose a great amount of money. There are so many ways to find deals on flights, cars, hotels, other housing, and meals. Some ways to find deals and discounts are through travel blogs. Researching deals and finding out from known, experienced people will help you. If you're not looking for deals and finding the first ticket you got, you might lose out on $500. That $500 could extend your whole trip a week, and you wouldn't even be able to do it because you were just fast and speedy on it. Another reason why you should budget your trip is that you can stay longer and enjoy the quality of it. There are hundreds upon hundreds of travel blogs, travel tips, and information online or in books that you can use. There is a travel blog with a link that takes you to multiple resources to successfully help you book a trip and keep it in your financial budget. If this is one blogger that has all this information, imagine everything and every deal you can find with just a little time and effort in your research. There's so many hundreds of people that have experience that can help you. Budgeting helps you pick your trip, execute your trip, and enjoy it, and maybe even extend it if you do it correctly. And budgeting can also make you even more financially successful in the future. Now that we have planned and budgeted our trip, let's talk about things to do on our trip and why some of the things we do aren't just fun but really important. Finally, the third how-to of traveling is the topic of things to do on your trip and why it's something that takes place in traveling. When it comes to traveling, you don't just want to get to your destination, take a picture, and say, cool, time to go home, I went to France. You want to be able to do things of whatever you want to really enjoy your trip and get the experience that you're not only wanting, but that you paid for. Most of our travel is for the love of learning, whether it be learning about culture, adventure, weather, location. One way you can find is things to do is simply Google it. This way, you can find popular tourist things to do, cool places to see, outside of the box adventures, or even culturally important things that you can do, watch, or volunteer with. There's so many things that you can do in traveling and destination and choosing just how to enjoy it. So why pass up on that offer? Whether you Google it, you use books, you use social media, friends, or experienced travelers, there's always a way to find things that you can do, even if you didn't even know you wanted to do it. There are two ways to go about planning an activity-filled trip. You can do extensive research and plan your whole trip hour by hour, Or you can go open-minded with no plans and find your own way yourself, or maybe even get help from others that live there. You can ask locals or experienced travelers for things to do at your destination. You can find the hidden gems of that location, or you can even take part in some cultural differences that your destination might have. You can also do half and half. You can find the local hidden gems, but you can also visit the super popular things and places that are well known. The reason why finding things to do while traveling is important is to have fun and enjoy your trip and live your life a little. And you get to gain real world knowledge and real life experiences. As mentioned earlier, we don't want to travel across the world just for one picture and then go home with real no adventure or experience. Gaining cultural experience is something that is really important to travel. A love from travel comes from a love experience and knowledge. Traveling is so much more than a vacation. It's about being able to immerse yourself in a different culture. You are able to get a real experience, not just a tourist experience. Learning about culture comes in different forms such as food, farming, volunteering, teaching, sightseeing, and so many other ways. Every single place on earth is different, whether it is because of people, food, language, society, ethics, location, or color. There are always things to learn and always things to experience. While traveling and doing activities that may be new to you, you might even be able to find a new love or a new passion and be so excited that you got to venture out. If you found a cultural difference and fell in love, imagine traveling all over the world for your whole life and becoming a part of millions of cultures. The knowledge and love you gain alone in this situation is unbeatable. Since traveling is so rewarding and a great experience, the things we learn and see along the way are so important. We aren't just doing them to have fun. It also gives us a chance to really experience the true beauty of traveling and learn what's outside of our comfort zone. Overall, there are so many different topics of traveling, and every single one is just as important as the other. It is so fun to learn about what you're passionate about or learn something new you want to try. I hope that everyone found my information as interesting as I did and as I found it helpful myself. Thank you for staying and lending an ear.